So let's get into today's topic, which is all about freediving and the implications and effects that it's had on my life. See, I spent about 1.5 years in Southeast Asia, freediving in Thailand, the Philippines, and Bali. Had an amazing time, learned so much about the sport, the people in it, the techniques, and also more importantly, the inner game that's involved. Because the funny thing is with freediving, you have to completely relax and let go. So it's the opposite of things like mountain biking or skydiving. A lot of those sports are focused around the adrenaline rush, right? You still have to be focused, your mind has to be switched on, you have to try and find that flow state, which is still common with freediving, but in freediving you've got to reduce your heart rate instead of increase it. So I'm going to get into some of the nitty-gritty, into some of the details and the effects it's had on my life and how it's really shifted things for me over the last, like I said, 1.5 years. Let's get started. So here's why diving to 43 meters on a single breath transformed my life. Freediving is the act of diving underwater using only the air in your lungs instead of an oxygen tank. So whenever I tell people I'm a freediver and I can dive to 43 meters on a single breath, which in the world of freediving is not particularly deep, they often conclude that freediving is some kind of extreme sport, only for the crazies out there like me. But what's really interesting is when you look into the science and physiology that allows us to dive to sickening depths on a single breath, you realize that it's the opposite of an extreme sport. It's more akin to meditation. If you want to plunge to deeper and deeper depths, it's inevitable that you will have to face your demons head on. Self-doubt and fear are not only limitations in the mind, they dramatically affect your ability to relax and prevent you from doing the dive that you know you are capable of. In the process of letting go, you develop the ability to observe your fear, but not let it affect your mind or your body. So I believe the skills you learn while freediving can actually apply to any experience where you feel fear or anxiety. By learning and internalizing these skills, freediving has helped transform other areas of my life. Freediving is the act of holding your breath and diving underwater. I first discovered this fascinating sport on YouTube of all places. I watched a freediver dressed in a skin-tight BDSM-esque wetsuit dive to 100 meters. I tried to follow along and match his breath hold, but this was like trying to play tennis with Novak Djokovic with no training. Unquestionably impossible. I managed a pathetic 45 seconds. The dive to 100 meters took nearly 4 minutes. Something disturbing happened as I watched the diver reach 100 meters. I panicked, my chest tightened, my mind suddenly switched gears into survival mode. What if his air runs out? What if he panics and suddenly inhales water and drowns? What if he dies? I was so engrossed in the dive that I put myself in his shoes, or fins, and felt what it would be like to descend to such depths on a single breath. And because I didn't understand freediving, I naturally assumed it was dangerous and there was a high chance of death. I quickly reaffirmed that this was not something I'd be trying anytime soon. And little did I know what was actually in store for me to come. So, my first time freediving. Even though my first impression of freediving was one of fear and terror, I kept watching YouTube videos and reading articles about how to train and dive deep. Eventually the evidence was overwhelming. Freediving was pretty simple and the fear was just in my head. I couldn't allow my own negative thoughts to hold me back from such an amazing underwater adventure. Naturally, the best way to start freediving is to find an instructor and complete a series of training courses. So in March 2017, while in Malaysia, I made the trip to Tioman, a stunning tropical island off the east coast of the mainland, about an 8 to 9 hour journey from Kuala Lumpur. I would be lying if I didn't say I was nervous and a little scared. I was never a super strong swimmer, and even though I was a lifeguard in my late teens, my examiner actually helped me pass the certification by shortening the distance I had to swim. It's a true story. So before the course, I had been researching how to hold my breath for longer. I practiced the relaxation and breath hold techniques frequently to develop a breath hold of around 2 minutes and 30 seconds. Nothing to write home about, but I progressed and understood how it was possible to hold my breath for longer periods of time. Of course, it's a different game underwater. So here's my dance with fear. The first dives I attempted were awkward, uncomfortable, and often terrifying. My urge to breathe would come on strong at around 5 meters, in part because of the tension I was holding in my body. My mind was screaming at me to get back to the surface for the oxygen it needed to survive. My body tightened up, reducing the efficiency of my oxygen consumption and increasing my urge to breathe. The key to freediving is a relaxed body and mind. I had neither, but like with any new skill, repetition is key, and so I continued to dive. After 2 full days of diving, I finally reached my goal of 10 meters in depth. For me, this was a monumental achievement and meant that I was now a certified freediver. But more importantly, I realized that the fear was all in my head. I knew I could hold my breath for nearly 3 minutes. A dive to 10 meters barely lasted 20 seconds. So there was no chance I was ever going to run out of oxygen. As I progressed, I increased my breath hold to 5 minutes and 30 seconds, giving me the confidence and capacity to hit depths of 43 meters. It's incredibly humbling to see how far I've come in such a short space of time, and this further reinforces my belief that if you have a vision or a goal in mind with enough practice, focus, and determination, you can and will achieve what you originally set out to accomplish. Now we got to focus on letting go. The way you deal with fear in freediving is exactly the same as you would in everyday life. Unpleasant emotions can be transcended by placing your awareness in your body, releasing tension, and letting go of the thoughts that caused the reaction in the first place. By learning to freedive, you're practicing all these things for several hours at a time. Now I see freediving more like a meditation. Before a dive, you're floating face down in the water, breathing slowly through a snorkel as your limp body dances to the rhythm of the waves. You are in an almost dreamlike state. Then, you take a final breath and dive down the line, equalizing the pressure in your ears every few meters and releasing any tension you detect in your body. This is why I always smile whenever someone refers to freediving as an extreme sport. It's literally at the other end of the spectrum. No adrenaline is required. It would in fact have an undesirable effect on the body by increasing your heart rate and oxygen consumption. So the truth is, we're all born to freedive. Some incredible changes happen in the body as soon as you submerge your head underwater. The ancient biological mechanism that we inherited from our distant ancestors, called the mammalian dive reflex, gets triggered. This evolutionary adaptation helps us survive for longer underwater. It's the same adaptation that whales, dolphins, and seals activate when they swim and dive for food, and it has many astonishing effects on our body, including the following. A reduction in heart rate, and this slows the release of oxygen into the bloodstream and allows the body to conserve more oxygen for vital organs like the heart and the brain. Some divers have recorded heart rates as low as 14 beats per minute, about a third of the rate of a person in a coma. That's pretty low. Another adaptation is the constriction of the blood vessels. This restricts blood flow to the extremities and helps redirect the oxygenated blood back to the vital organs, which consume considerably more oxygen than the peripheral organs. Another adaptation, blood fills your lungs. Due to the exponential pressure changes as you dive deeper and deeper, your blood, which remains uncompressible because it's a liquid, fills the empty cavities in your body. The capillaries in your lungs become engorged with blood and help stop them from collapsing under pressure. And a final adaptation, more blood from your spleen. As part of the dive reflex, the spleen contracts and increases the volume of blood, which increases the amount of oxygen available. Fascinating stuff, right? When I learned all this stuff, my mind was blown that we've got this amazing evolutionary adaptation from seals, dolphins, and whales. Wow. It literally blew my mind when I discovered the amazing processes at work when we hold our breath and dive underwater. Such a simple thing. It gave me more confidence because I realized that my body was specifically adapted to keep me alive for longer underwater. As you become a more seasoned freediving athlete, your dive reflex gets stronger and you become more adapted to deeper and deeper depths, making previous personal records a walk in the park. So what's the next step if you want to get started? Well, if you're curious about learning to freedive, you can find a wealth of information on YouTube. One of my favorite channels is Adam Freediver with Adam Stern, an absolute legend in the community and an Australian national record holder with a free immersion dive to 92 meters. And free immersion is where you're pulling down the rope and you're pulling back up. And a personal best in constant weight, which is where you don't touch the rope and you're swimming down with your fins, of 106 meters. That's pretty wild. He's a really good freediver, and his YouTube channel is awesome, so go check it out. And then if you feel like it's for you, the next step will be to find a course in your area. If you don't live near the sea or anywhere suitable for freediving, you may have to jump on a plane, which also is the perfect excuse for a little vacation. Some of the best diving spots are in Asia, so it's worth carving out at least 2 weeks to get your certification and do some training. It's amazing how fast you'll progress even over such a short amount of time. I've seen people go from not being able to freedive at all to 30 meters in just 2 weeks, so it's amazing what can be done. So aside from learning freediving to overcome your fears, you will get to experience the underwater world without the limitations of a bulky oxygen tank and scuba gear. All you need to do is slip on your mask and fins and you're away. You'll also develop a deeper connection with our oceans as you witness the wonders of our stunning coral reefs and get to chase schools of bright coloured fish like a giddy kid. One of the most important rules in freediving is to never dive alone, which means you're bound to make some great friends along the way. I've found the community to be very welcoming and made some great connections on my travel to dive sites all over Asia. Even if you're feeling butterflies in your stomach and you're not entirely comfortable with the idea of holding your breath and diving deep, just go for it. If you're genuinely interested in learning and growing, don't let your fear hold you back. This could open up a whole new world for you. You see, many freedivers feel a deep sense of peace in and out of the water, and the sport certainly facilitates and encourages a healthy lifestyle. Most of the people I know use freediving as their meditation. They are so in tune with their bodies and dive with a clear and peaceful mind. Not all the time, we all mess up, we all have those off days, but when you practice, when you put in the time to train and you progress over a number of years, that state will become second nature to you. Now, most freedivers will also tell you that the peace and tranquility that you get from diving doesn't happen on every single dive. Everything will eventually click into place and you will experience the joy that everyone has been talking about, but just know it's a process, it's a journey, and it's one that is absolutely worthwhile. Thank you so much for watching this video today. I know your time is extremely valuable, so if you've enjoyed today's content, please consider subscribing and clicking that notification bell so you get a notification next time I release another one of these videos. You can also leave me a comment below and let me know what part of this video resonated the most with you, or simply click that like button to let me know you enjoyed this content. And if you want to get your hands on a free 12-minute guided meditation that I recorded to help you manifest your dreams and create whatever you want in your life, go ahead and click the link in the description for your free download. And if you want to check out all the latest blog posts on my blog, dabsofreality.com, the link is down there below as well, along with my Instagram and my Facebook page if you want to consider following me on those platforms. Until next time, catch you on the flip side.